Today I made two videos about woods anomalies and showed some bent and broken trees and told some anecdotes. And I have a few more anecdotes to add to the ones that I told. So, kind of working backwards in memory, it turns out that when I came back from my little expedition, what it looks like is that during that time, one of our little chickens turned up dead under somewhat mysterious circumstances. The young rooster, Junior. And, I'm hinting at something with these videos, really because I just feel like something's being hinted to me. And so I'm sharing the hints, and I'm trying not to form specific conclusions, because I don't know what I don't know. But another time when I was out in the woods out back, which are the big woods that go way out back there with the dogs, I wouldn't be able to find my way back to the same place, I don't think, necessarily. Well, I might be able to find it, but I couldn't say how I got there. But we found a pond out in the woods, a kind of a natural basin with quite a big pond. I would say it was maybe 12 feet across, kind of circular. And it reeked. It stank there. Very strong smell. And I figured it must be coming from the water, that the water was kind of stagnant. But it was a very distinctive smell. And I noticed that at that time, again, the dogs, sometimes they're very rambunctious. They're all young dogs. They're about 2 years old. And they like to run around and explore and dig everything. But sometimes they seem to act a little bit more kind of restrained and tentative. Not like they don't seem scared or anything, but they seem, somehow wary, curious, but wary. And they seem to stick closer to me at these times and not be so inclined to run off individually or in pairs or whatever. They're 5 dogs. So I smelled that smell. And then quite recently, and that's a kind of a distinctive smell. And then I realized that sometimes I think maybe I'm smelling that smell. But sometimes you're out in the dogs and one of them is doing his business and it makes a smell that might be a similar smell. But maybe 1 month ago I was out back there, and again I was doing some wood cutting, and the dogs are all kind of around and about me. And from way off into the woods, deep into the woods, I hear a holler. Oh! Right? And I can holler as well, so I hollered right back. And then I didn't really think anything of it. And then a while later, I just caught a whiff of that smell. And down there, maybe one time I saw a thing. I started watching videos. I saw a video from a lady named Northwest Native Tracker, and she's talking about cryptids. And I started listening to what she's saying, and it's kind of hard for me to believe a lot of the stuff. It just sounds so outlandish, And I think there's a lot of attention seeking and a lot of people make a lot of money and or whatever, big themselves up in some way using whatever subject matter is available that is the mysterious, the paranormal. And then you have a load of people who do the same thing by kind of debunking the mysterious and the paranormal. Anyway, I've seen plenty of things in my life that to me are paranormal. They have no natural explanation, like lights, orbs. This thing I saw one time in the jungle in Thailand, which I made a video about, I called it the cross and filaments. So, caught a whiff of that smell. And down there one time, I guess I got the feeling that I was being watched. I think that was it. And so I started looking around, and I saw a dark shape that I couldn't identify. And at a later point, possibly minutes later, but later I've also been back to the same spot and I've checked it out. And what I saw is that there is a fallen tree there, and the way that the roots pulled up, it makes a kind of a frame, right? And usually when I go and I look, what I see is this frame with the light shining through, and you can kind of see through it. But on that one occasion, I looked there and I saw just a solid black shape, right? Which would be that frame with something in there, you know. But that could be my imagination, or that could be whatever. But yeah, movements, sounds. And then this thing with the chicken, because some of the material that I've been listening to online, you get the impression that you know, people start to interact, and maybe they, you know, if they behave in such a way as might be perceived as bordering on offensive, then perhaps something bordering on offensive happens to them. And when I was just down filming the tree bends and all that stuff, I felt like I was potentially invading on someone's privacy. Now, I'm 50-50, right? I have 1 foot in belief and 1 foot in disbelief. That's kind of how I generally operate. And I try not to know what I think I know what I don't know. And I also try to keep an open mind. Or I guess it's not like so much that I try, as it's in my nature. Right? I can't help it. I have an active imagination, and I like to consider possibilities. So I'm considering some possibilities, and I'm going to try not to tread on anyone's toes, and just be a reasonable dude out there in the woods. And the dogs, yeah, sometimes 1 or 2 of them, never really the whole group now, but sometimes 1 or 2 of them will go off for a long time, and I don't know where they've gone. And I do wonder whether they're out annoying someone, or whether someone might be, you know, no one's shot them yet, or whatever. You know, a hunter that sees a pack of dogs chasing after a deer will probably get trigger happy, and arguably should. But yeah, sometimes they just seem to go off for a long time and then come back as if they've just been, you know, out doing whatever, socializing or something. I don't know. That was part 3. I'll leave off. Thanks for watching.